Hello and welcome to the weekend debate. A bit murky out there for a change, so we're not going to get too hot. We might actually get a bit wet because there might be some rain on the way. But as always, thank you for joining us. And over the next hour, we've got 3 sections talking about various things. And I'll ask my guests to introduce themselves, starting with you, Michael.
Good afternoon. My name's Michael George. My wife and I run the Welbeck Hotel, which is just on the corner of Mona and Empress Drive. We're open again, by the way. It's a restaurant. Sorry for the quick advert, but the family's had the hotel since 1978, and touch wood, we're going to stay successful, but it's all a bit difficult.
We'll be talking about that during the hour. Absolutely, whole section really, I think, probably. And linked in the way, because obviously with tourism, but obviously TT, we'll get to you, but also introduce yourself.
Yes, common interest in TT and Isle of Man tourism, but I'm 40 years a marketing business on the Isle of Man. Initially and predominantly a video business, and involved with TV and so forth, quite a lot of other TT-related commercial projects, including operating the main website for several years. Prior to that, grew up in a hotel in the Isle of Man, can't get away, and then operated, of course, came back to the island, involved with Manx Line. So I was marketing manager
story,
there. So,
we could do a whole hour or two on what you've
I can't get tourism out of the blood, as well as a bit of petrol.
Yes. Christina.
So my name's Christina Corkell, and I'm the founder of the Time Enough website, which lists everything that you can do on the Isle of Man. It's an events and locations website, and if you've not heard about it, it's because we launched just when the first lockdown happened. So all the events were cancelled and nobody could go anywhere, but all the information is there. So now that we can, it's a great website to take a look at. And when I'm not doing that, I am Vice Chair of Braddon Commissioners.
Which is probably what I want to talk to you about today, because you've had a longer stint than you ever thought you were going to have, didn't you?
Going on 6 years.
Right. Well, let's just start with how the government's up to and doing, because obviously there was no press conference this week. That's probably, I think, the first time in a long time, that probably ever, since the whole thing began, that the government hasn't felt the need to say anything. But I mean, let's start with you, Michael. I mean, the hotel business, where are we up to? And we will do more about this later, but just give us a sort of overview. What's going on with you guys?
It's a very difficult time. Even if we do, they're talking about opening the borders 28th of June, I believe. So if we have no restrictions then, I think we'll probably start with a bit of a trickle. Hopefully we'll get a decent month in July, August and September. And then I'm afraid we're back to winter again. For us, it's not such an issue, but I believe industry-wide, one of the big problems is that there'll be all the TT bookings have been rolled over, and they've been paid for. So this winter is looking very difficult. Another of the problems is that Zoom seems to have taken over the world, and I'm wondering how buoyant the corporate market's going to be when when everything reopens and people are allowed to travel. Will they want to?
Mm. Okay, let's do tourism now, because it really links into what you're just saying there. I mean, you've had a horrendous time like other hoteliers, but that's interesting, the point that everything's rolling over. So cash has been in. Most people have kept their bookings, have they? Or withdrawn it, or whatever. What's happened?
Yeah, we were kind of lucky, or my wife made our own luck. She saw the writing on the wall and didn't take the money for the full TT payments. So we were only minorly in hock, whereas I think a lot of other people had already taken their money, invested it in the hotel, whatever. We're in a slightly different situation. Yes, our bookings are all rolled over, but fortunately, we still have money to take off them for when they do come for TT. It's still going to be a difficult winter, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's no big secret you were trying to get out of the business, weren't you, at some point? I mean,
well,
I changed direction.
Personally, I've been working in since I was 9, and then we came over to the island in 1978. And okay, I've worked around the London area. I've worked at the Palace, the Sefton, a year in Australia, but it's all been tourism related, and I think basically at some stage, both my wife and I, who's been working since she was 16 in tourism, not saying we'd like to totally divorce ourselves from it, but have less of the day-to-day relentless pressure that comes with running a business full-time.
Okay, we'll come back on this. I mean, how's it been for you, Peter, on lockdown? Have you had the support you needed and whatever?
I would say overall, I think the government done a good job really on in dealing with COVID. Obviously, a few never perfect, but the support has been there so far for the many businesses, and we're the TT travel agent from 2018 onwards, and we brought 3,000 people to the TT in 19, and we're looking to increase that in 2020, although there are capacity limitations. We were all set, we had most of the bookings in place, and basically we're then suddenly faced with 3 years of overheads and only 1 year's sales, because 75-80% of the bookings carried forward. Shows a lot of faith and the confidence in the TT, and hopefully in our ability to handle people's bookings. But 3 years overheads had to be dealt with, and we either expired, borrowed crazy amounts of money, which might be very, very difficult to pay back. We have borrowed some extra funds in order to see us through this period, but about a third of the jobs in my business, 5-6 jobs, effectively depend on the TT, because we are and we've lost the TT
Did you get
video
support
product and TT grandstand tickets we sell and that sort of thing.
Right. You did the whole
So we had a
right.
double whammy. Several £100,000 of lost gross profit, which is what pays the overheads.
Yeah. Did you get support from the government?
We've had, I think, fair support from the government. We had to borrow some money commercially, and that's paid back over 7 years, and hopefully everything comes back. And so, I'm not alone in that. I don't think in the tourism industry it's been a combination, and fair enough to government. It's not a bottomless pit. The taxpayer can't be expected to subsidise everybody to the hundredth degree, the 100%. But we've had enough support, I think, to see us through to next year, when we will hopefully then have a great TT in 22, and then crack on with 23, making more progress.
Because everyone's been touched somewhere. I mean, Christina, you saying your website, it hit you in that sense. Did it hit you in your pocket as well then?
Yes, of course, because the website relies to an extent on advertising, and no one is really in a position to pay for that advertising at the moment, especially when events aren't happening and places are closed. I've been very lucky that I've always worked from home. So I was able to continue much the same way as I've always worked, even right through lockdown. So I felt very happy about that, and being able to support the small businesses that are really struggling.
And with the other hat on, have you seen problems with people paying their rates or people just defaulting on things?
No, people have been very good about it, actually. Yeah, last year and the same this year, there hasn't been any big problems in that respect, although of course we do hear stories about people who are really struggling. One of our fellow commissioners runs the Isle of Man Food Bank, and of course it's a great shame that that's even needed, but it is definitely needed. So there are problems there.
Right, because I mean, like everyone else, I've had my bills for my rates coming through,
Yes.
and you go, ooh, jeepers. Anyway,
And they all had to go up a bit this year.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
How do you mix, you guys? Because you're a hotelier, an old-fashioned hotelier. He's the new kid on the block who suddenly brings in, porta cabins and things like that. And I'm intrigued on that, because there's your biggest moment of the whole year. Do you appreciate that you've run out of space, or do you slightly get annoyed that people can come in and do these sort of startups and camping sites and whatever?
No, for me, I think one of the problems in the future for the TT could be lack of capacity. Yeah. Same with the what's it called now? TT.
With the classic and MGP one, yeah.
I believe that as well. It's another pinch point where we really haven't got enough capacity, and if it goes beyond that, you go into people's houses or campsites, and I think it would, to some extent, it would ruin the event if we can't hold the amount of capacity that we have and increase it. Not everybody wants to stay in somebody's house, and not everybody wants to sleep in a tent. Mm-hmm. So I've got no personal problems with the likes of Peter.
Yeah, I mean, I firstly say that most of our bookings are as a travel agent, and we package up and we provide transfers and range grandstands and dinners and so forth. So but because of the capacity constraints, which are very, very significant, I mean, we've done 2 big surveys, 2007 after the centenary, had 7,000 responses there, and another one in 2018 when we got into travel. And the clear impression, and the government has done a lot of research in the last year as well, exactly the same conclusion. We'd love to come, but we can't come on the day we want because the ferry's full. And if we fly in, where are we going to sleep? Because we're on a hotel. So I would say, I mean, there are 40% of the people in the survey say they would like to sleep in a proper bed rather than camp or glamp. And in fact, only about 20% manage that. The homestay is an alternative, which is a proper bed. Homestay perhaps isn't the greatest long-term solution, particularly if you have things like COVID and the extra measures people may have to take in 22, 23.
It's almost encouraging camping, isn't it, for the fresh air?
Yeah.
So
there's the capacity constraints of travel and accommodation are absolutely the limit on the TT. And what we have to do is work around it. There's 45,000 people come, 28,000 people at peak. That's the very latest survey from partly government. 28,000 people are here at peak, and even the emergency services are apparently saying, that's really the most we want to cope with, and I can understand.
I mean, the infrastructure can only take so much.
Within the fortnight, the scope's still for growth. That would be our...
Just spreading the love out a bit more either side.
Yeah, the practice week is a great opportunity. We reduced our prices in practice week for the TT20 bookings, and now 22, and we got on the Monday of practice week, we got to 82% full. Not many of the, we do sell quite a lot of hotels. He's always full, unfortunately. But
I bet you've got the regulars who come back year in year out.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're still selling.
You're looking at new trade, though, aren't you?
Single figures in most. There's a couple of hotels have got single figure rooms left now, really, for the main dates. Yeah, but we're working hard on practice week. That's our main marketing strategy. Is the TT's best kept secret. So we're working on that, and then potentially, if there's a strategy in government to make it more attractive to people to stay over after the last race, then they won't all want to rush home.
Okay, well, let's do TT in the next section
sorry,
more.
Detailed point.
I want to get into that detail, but hotel-wise thing. I mean, back to what I said, you don't have to do anything. These people just turn up, you build it, they will come because they came last year, sort of thing.
To an extent, yeah. You've obviously got to look after them to your best of your ability. Because they're not going to come back if you're rubbish. Or, they probably would, actually, because sadly they've had to, historically, some are not happy with their accommodation, but like I said, a lot of ours have been regulars for many years. There's some change every year. As Peter says, that the growth really has been practice week. I mean, there was a time when there was, I think, one slow boat when there was a bit more business around the shoulders, but that was just because people couldn't physically get on and off. Now it's from a different aspect because people are actually wanting to come during the practice week. And you actually met quite a few people who only want to come in practice week. They find that the hustle and bustle of the main race week is a bit too much for them. Yeah. And they like to go around the course when they can still ride.
But then they could come for the classic because that's what everyone says that is about, isn't it? It's much more relaxed and there's not the pressure on it. And I don't know. Well,
they still like a bit of the buzz that's surrounding you,
Yeah, they want the bushies and all the entertainment, that sort of thing, I suppose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For some of them anyway. I mean, everybody. There's no one TT fan that you could stick in and say that's what he is because it's the common denominator is the motorcycle. But these people are every different background, every different walk of life, and very diverse interests.
Okay, Christine, you're nodding there.
Yes, I was just saying that there is no stereotype of bikers. They're all very, very different backgrounds, and I think that's what you learn very early if you come from the Isle of Man. And I was talking to Bill Shimmons just this week, actually, and he made an observation that after any big pandemic like the Spanish flu or, any of these worldwide catastrophes, there's then immediately afterwards, there seems to be a sudden buoyancy that people get very excited about being alive and want to go and spend money. And then that's how you got the roaring 20s. People wanted to go out and celebrate the fact that there's life and things. So I'm just looking forward to that. I think it's just round the corner.
And what do brand commissions do for TT? Do you open up things and rent places out to make any money for your people?
Well, the Memorial Hall is always open, and it's a great viewing spot. Any money that we make goes to various Braddon charities during the TT. We, of course, our big project is Strand Corner Field, which will be a community centre and sports hall. So we're very much investing in more things to do on the island, more places to go.
All right. You were brought up in a hotel, so you remember the old days. You remember the sort of what people's expectations were and where they are now. How does that hit you? Because I know you do a lot of work on your place over the years, haven't you? You got the best Wi-Fi in town, by the way. Just if you're ever going in there, it's really good. But seriously, it must be a nightmare, isn't it? All the time having to reinvest and upgrade.
My parents recognised very early in the piece that that's what needed to be done. And there's not one year where we haven't done any, probably 2020, sorry. Before 2020, there wasn't one year where we hadn't reinvested. If you don't, you fall behind. It's just a necessity. It's not just the building itself. The customer expectation is vastly different from what it was back in the 70s when we started out. Even then we realised that something wasn't quite there that should be. So, I mean, because you used to just get the meal. If you were lucky, you got the choice of a salad as well, Or you could have fruit juice instead of soup.
And were you running down the corridor to use the toilet and the shower or bath or whatever?
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
I've actually got one, 1962, I think it is, brochure, and one hotel's advertising. In fact, they have a wardrobe. and there is cold water available on the floor. But
I mean,
spoon beds.
Hang on,
Spoon
I mean,
I've actually got somewhere to hang it.
way back, people brought their own food with them, didn't they?
Yeah,
You're talking a long time ago. People came equipped with their own food.
The wardrobe got me a bit more than the down the corridor bathroom.
Where were you brought up, Peter? Which hotel was it?
The Aragon,
Right.
the Aragon, which is 30, 40 rooms, which my mum ran. Dad sort of invested in it with his world experience as a motorcycle superstar, so he poured quite a bit of money into it. It was the first hotel on the island with all en suite.
Wow.
All en suite. Yeah.
And what happened to that?
It's back to a private house.
Was it a private house, then came a hotel? So a long time. It'd been a hotel before my dad bought it. Yeah, but tourism was really, a bit of a challenge in the 60s. It was going into its first stage of decline, although it had a bit of a resurgence around Millennium Year. But the Isle of Man was still attracting quite decent numbers of visitors in the 60s. You see, for anyone, you've been through so many different things of this, like with parking the Manx line thing on site, but like the hotels, suddenly they're all going to Spain. And there's nothing you can do about it almost. And yet you're there. But I'm just thinking about Dukes and how, remember the VHS days? All the money you invested in machinery. Now people
we used to warm the pavement up outside our office at one time. We had 400 video recorders recording tapes for people all around the world. The days of tape. People say tape, what's that? Betamax and VHS. And
but you can say about records, CDs, cassettes. It's incredible.
We still do discs. We still do DVDs and Blu-rays. That's still there. But increasingly digital. Downloads, programs for download, for internet television, that sort of thing, and YouTube's a big part of our day-to-day activities. We have millions and millions of views on YouTube, and we make a small proportion out of YouTube's advertising revenue. So it's a different world, but it's always been interesting. I mean, that's every 5, 6, 7 years there's some technological change. The internet was obviously the biggest change, and been, thank goodness,
Did you see it coming yourself? I mean,
early adopters. I saw it coming, but we got in very early.
Yeah,
we were one of the first e-commerce shops in sort of sport, if you like, and we got in really early, built it up, and in later years, 2004 onwards, started doing TT products as well as videos, so tickets, for example. So we've always been very internet orientated, and thank goodness, because we used to be in 2,000 shops selling videos, stocking them up every week in the UK with salesmen on the road and all this stuff, and that's all gone, completely gone.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there was over 2,000 shops we used to, and half of them, 1,000 of them, we'd stock up every week.
And I should point out, there's somewhere in your archives, there's the story of the Manx cat, which I made for you
yes,
ages ago.
Yeah,
it's a classic. Do go out and buy it.
Yes,
Christina, the internet, you obviously embrace it because of the way you.
Well, yes, and lockdown has really shown how important it is to have an online platform. And there were several businesses that had relied on in the past and word of mouth. Oh, we don't need to advertise, we just rely on word of mouth. Well, that has definitely changed. And I think there's also, in my personal opinion, has been an overdependence on Facebook, that if you're not a member of Facebook, you quite often do not hear about events. And a lot of people assume that everyone is on Facebook. And you also get into those bizarre conversations where you ring a business to say, what time are you open? And I said, well, all the information's on Facebook, which is taking someone who's gone to your business to somebody else's business instead of saying directly, well, we're open from 9 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon or something. So I one of the reasons of doing the website was to help diversify that and allow everyone access to events and locations on the Isle of Man.
Michael, for your front of house, the internet is that gateway, is it? Or when you're not having the regulars coming back, I mean, how important for you would it be?
Well, it's absolutely key because our property management system runs on internet. So, I mean, we can't even book somebody in without it. So
it's very high tech, isn't it? That's really good.
Yeah, I'm perhaps running a bit behind it, but it's it's key. You've got to be there. I don't feel that I'm particularly innovative or perhaps as up to date with it as I should be. But it's something you've got to have, and you've got to keep working to make sure that you are updating things. And like Christina just said, you can't rely on one platform. You have to go wider than that. The OTAs are the bane of our life, the online travel agencies, because basically they take a big cut for.
So it's like the booking.coms, you mean?
Yeah.
You deal with them, but you don't want to really deal with them, but you have to deal with them because if you don't deal with them, you won't get that particular business.
Precisely.
Right.
I think you summed it up well.
Yeah.
And they take quite a chunk, do they?
Yeah, and they don't actually. In the old days, you used to be kind of a bit sick that you were giving commission to the old style travel agencies or the likes of the tour operator, but they were actually investing in the product, whereas an OTA just basically sits there, lives on the commission, and they also forever trying to give him bigger discounts. The world wants a discount.
Yeah.
And so it's very.
Well, I've used them. So what you do a holiday or something, and they're onto you all straight away. They know what you like. They're pushing things at you all the time, aren't they?
Absolutely,
that's the way it goes.
So it's something we have to live with, and something that we will live with.
A necessary evil.
Yeah, absolutely. But you've got to be very careful.
They throw quite a lot of the work onto. We sell the village through booking.com, the inevitable path you have to go just to have that extra sort of marketing reach. And it brings some bookings in, but the percentage is high. But they throw a lot of work at you as well. They do very little, really, other than run the website and sort of
should have thought of that one. Yeah, genius idea, isn't it?
The extra work they throw. Quite a lot of things.
Right, well, that's. I love the way we just go in different areas. I wasn't even thinking where we're going there, but we'll have more. We're going to do the TT next, anyway, in part 2.